This video is going to change the way that you think about starting in a Squad Busters match, because very recently I fought in the toughest lobby I've ever been in for the $50,000 Samsung Galaxy tournament. And man, it is so different fighting against such skilled players. This video will answer one simple question for you. Should you rush to the middle? And in a lobby where your opponents actually are not very good, you go to the middle, you get a ton of value in the form of blue boxes, and you've been watching my videos, you're subscribed to the channel, you know all the ways to get value by going to the middle, so I won't reiterate all of it here. I mean, the loot drops are better from the better monsters in the middle. What are we even talking about? But it's more dangerous. It's a very dangerous place to be, and you have a lot less land to work with, which means you're much more likely to bump into other squads. And when I was preparing for this Samsung Galaxy tournament, I realized, although in an easy lobby, you could say, I will always go middle. Once you get into these more advanced lobbies, what would determine whether or not you rush the middle? And a part of it might be the game mod, but the most important thing, I was gonna say more important, but the most important thing is what units is the game giving you to start. Certain units are much better to rush the middle. So this tier list that we're about to go through is going to be the units that you rush the middle with. And we'll break it down to units that are strong, like the best you could use to rush middle. Ones where you go mid, but just be careful because you could get ambushed. The ones that are risky, you do this. You can do it, but if you're gonna get caught out, you're cooked, okay? Very risky means like, hey, it better be a weak lobby if this is what you're gonna try. And then do not go mid. Certain units do not go middle, all right? I'll explain the logic as we go. And I wanna give a really good example of what a super strong unit to go middle would be. And that is the Jessie. The Jessie is a fantastic unit to rush mid. Why? Every time you open a chest, you get a turret. So if you open like 2 chests in the middle, not only are those turrets gonna cook value for you, taking out the PvE content, taking out those monsters, but also those turrets establish you as a person who owns that area. And the turrets are very difficult for an enemy to take out because at the start of the match, they don't have the DPS to just smash on a turret for like 10 to 15 seconds with 2 or 3 units in their squad. So Jessie is the perfect example of a very strong unit to rush middle. I'll give an example of a do not go mid unit, and a do not go mid unit would be Bo. Don't go mid with Bo. Bo has super low health. He's super likely to get popped, and when he gets popped, you're cooked. Once they start taking one of your units down, you only have like 2 or 3 units in your squad tops, you're cooked if they rush one of them out, okay? It's over. And I got busted a couple times going to the middle early, just rushing mid and getting caught out, and then everybody's rushing mid and they're all taking the value, and then I have nowhere to go and someone comes in from the same way I entered, but they're stronger than me, so I had to run. So that was the genesis of making this list. It's like I got busted a couple times going to the middle doing my strategy, and I was like, what should I do differently? Oh, okay, I understand now. All right, so to give an example of a middle of the road unit, I'm gonna put the Chicken in there. The Chicken is an okay unit to rush mid because you have boots and you can get away if you need to, hopefully. So you can outrun them. It's not amazing, it really isn't, but you can do it, you have the speed to get away. Same is true actually of a Hog, but I would put the Hog in the be careful category. I wanna just give you like one example of each category before we really flesh them out. Why is the Hog not strong? Okay, the problem with the Hog Rider is he will run headlong into literally every single thing that you step near that's PvE, and he will drop health, and next thing you know, he's half health, and somebody sees that and they're gonna ambush you. So it actually requires a lot more skill to bring a Hog Rider to middle, even though, like, I think you should do it. Just be careful, because if you don't have a way to heal or recover health at all, that Hog Rider is going to get cooked pretty fast, and if someone notices, there is a chance they roll up on your squad, especially perhaps if they have a Hog. So you definitely go mid with a Hog, but you need to be careful. And I actually found, weird enough, that my starts with a Hog Rider going middle were not as good as like my Greg starts playing the outside. And Greg is a character I would say is very risky. I ambushed someone in the Squad Busters tournament who I caught him out with like a couple units in a Greg. That was that, man. It just is what it is. It was what it was. But Greg can go middle because there are trees, and that value is there. And if you have the opportunity to open a couple chests with a Greg, whew, I mean, you can establish very fast. if you're given the time. The harder the lobby, the less time you have, okay? So that gives you one example in every single category. Let's start to flesh these things out, okay? And do not go middle with Dr. T. You would think maybe summoning the crab would be cool. No, Dr. T is extremely weak. People will ride your Dr. T. You just claw at them back and do no DPS whatsoever. Dr. T is not a unit to go mid. Dynamite, 2 low hit points to go middle. Do not do it. You will get cooked. B, I'm going to put in the very risky category. I would not recommend it. You're probably not even going to have the Bs. I almost need to move Dynamite to be wherever the B is because the two of them are extremely similar. In fact, I would even argue that I would flip these around, weirdly enough, because like the B has an extra requirement of you better go find Bs somewhere, whereas the Dynamite doesn't even have that requirement, right? So the B, you have to go spend time doing something other than the thing you wanted to do in the middle. And even if it's a small detour, it's a detour that you may not have time to make in a really stacked lobby. The Colt, I would say, is probably in the very risky category. Just like 2 low hit points to really pull that off. I'm gonna put the Nita in the risky category. You can get ambushed. If you get ambushed, you can get wrecked. We're gonna put the tank in the strong category. Bro, you take your tank to the middle, get in a tank right away. That is like the best, one of the best starts in the game, actually. Especially if you can get a bunch of the blue boxes. I'm actually pretty disappointed that in the tournament, I did not get offered that once, despite tank being in the rotation many times, but GG, it is what it is. Mavis, not really a unit to go middle with. I've done it, wouldn't recommend it. I'm gonna put the Royale King in the very risky category. You would think that spawning all the minions to clear the content for you and creating a lot of clutter on the map that messes with people's squads would be good, but he's only a step above a Dr. T in terms of just being a super vulnerable unit that can get very, very hooked, okay? From here, gosh, I have a lot of units that I really want to talk about. One of them is going to be the Bandit, and I would also put that in the very risky category. Why? Bandit has the same problem the Hog Rider has with none of the upside. Bandit is giving you a scoreboard upside, not a punch upside. Units that you want for going to the middle give you a punch upside. Bandit is mid-ish health, low-ish DPS, and isn't going to recover health like a Barbarian, which I would put in the be careful, but is a fine choice. Up in the strong category, I would put the BK. BK is really strong, super rage spells, obviously very intimidating. You can cook someone if they roll up on you and be in great shape. In fact, while we're in the strong category, I would like to drop the Mortis up there. Mortis start, baby. You take out a blue box. I don't know what the perfect rotation is, okay? But I think you take the blue box in your starting zone, run to the middle, try to get a blue box over there, then you start taking out PvE content to like squad up. And Mortis is a unit I will talk about more in other videos. He requires you to do things to elevate the value he delivers to you, but it is the kind of things you wanted to be doing anyways at the start of the game. So I think Mortis is a very strong choice for rushing the middle. I'm gonna say that Traitor is a do not go mid. Why? Okay, why? I would put Goblin in the risky category. Not very risky, just risky. So Goblin is a weird one. I don't like Goblin starts personally. I do not like them. I typically like to fuse a Goblin. To do that, you need to get several chests. That takes time. If you're not going to fuse the Goblin, I mean, I guess you can rush the middle and hope for the best. It's just dangerous. So like I said, risky. You can do it. You can use your coin advantage to try to turn that into a chest-based squad advantage, and you have to do that. If someone else, however, is taking the chests before you can get to them, GG. Risky, but achievable, all right? From here, a max. I'm also going to put the max in the risky category. So you can move fast, which is cool. You can get there before everyone else, hopefully, but it is a super high skill unit because any damage you take, you are not going to heal. He has no way to recover. So unlike the Barbarian, which will flip elite and heal, or you're gonna fuse right away and it'll heal it, you're gonna have to get a healer to keep your max alive. And that actually is gonna distract you from doing the other things you wanted to be doing, all right? Similarly, gosh, I'm gonna say that the medic is a do not go mid unit. Do not go mid with a medic. I'm gonna put Pam in the very risky category. You can go mid with a Pam. Maybe the heal fields will keep you alive. The second you don't have a heal field, are you gonna be okay? I'm not sure. I'll also put the battle healer in that category where, look, it has the same problem I find. You tell me if you have this problem. I find that the battle healer in the very start of the game doesn't do enough. Like, she scales with units in your squad. The more units in your squad, the more grand total hit points your squad is getting. Okay, it's still a flat amount of like plus 400 or plus 600 hit points per unit, but each additional unit you have is more total hit points in your squad. See what I mean? So she's a really good top off, not a great starter. And although it will make you like technically a little chunkier at the start of the game, I don't think that's it, man. I find that, like the Dr. T, she is very, very likely to just get overwhelmed by even just barbs. They're just cranking that DPS, and the extra health is not going to be noticeable. It really is not. I'm going to say that the Ice Wizard and the Wizard are also so low health that they qualify as very risky. You just run the risk of someone rolling up and popping you before you know what's what. I don't think I would put them in the risky category. I think I would put them very risky. And Queen has kind of the same downside. I don't know if I would put her in very risky, because if you drop your Expo, if you have the Ultra tier, then you've got something very powerful to protect you in the middle. So if you do not have Ultra Queen, and most people don't, right? Then I think it's very risky to go mid with that. I think that is a very dangerous choice. I also would say it is risky to go mid with the Witch, but probably better than your Wizards. And the reason is that those skeletons are relevant. Okay? They get in the way, hopefully. But if you get caught in between spawns, you get cooked. So like, it's not great. El Primo, I would say, is also a very risky mid choice. El Primo is really low DPS, and the low DPS is a huge issue. Like, you need quick damage at the start. So he just gets overrun in the same way that Bandit gets overrun, or Dr. T gets overrun, or the Royale King gets overrun. Like, he's not punching hard enough. And he really scales up by your having a great big squad doing all the DPS behind him, right? Heavy is kind of an interesting one. Heavy, I would say, is in the be careful category. I actually think it might be better than it gets credit for going middle, maybe. Because if you just hunker down because you get ambushed, at least when you stand still, you will be healing, and you could create a problem for them. That's actually pretty major. It's actually very major. I would put the Shelly not quite in the be careful category. I would say the risky category, all right? The reason is that, unlike the Barbarian, which heals when it flips elite, and is very intimidating after you take out a monster, your attack speed can really go through the roof there. I would say it is a tier below that, okay? And I have seen people with Shellys get caught out going middle. It is what it is, and it sucks when it happens. And Penny, I would say, is not a great unit to go middle. I would probably put her a tier below in the very risky category. Sure, Penny's got nice DPS. I get it, bro. But someone's gonna roll up right behind you when you're doing something else, pop your Penny, and then you're like, crap, what do I do? And your map's almost certainly not gonna be in the middle, okay? So this means that I think, do I wanna make one more adjustment here? I think I wanna make one more adjustment. I think I bumped the Nita. I still worry about you're getting ambushed from behind here, but I think I wanna bump the Nita up to be careful. I think that's a better place for that. And I kind of want to bump up like Ultra Queen, maybe one tier. Like, if you have an Expo, it's actually like you could do it. But directionally, I think this list is right. The best units to rush to the middle at the start of the match are going to be Jessie, Tank, BK, and Mortis. My opinion, those are the safest units to run to the middle with. I think you can definitely go middle, but you need an extra level of care with a Hog, a Barb, a Heavy, which I generally just wouldn't recommend drafting anyways. So like, we're including it in the list because like it's in the game, but I don't think I would do it. But a Heavy, and then Nita is really on the bubble for me. I'm not so sure if that goes in the be careful or the risky category. Then we've got the risky category, all right? And the Chicken has no real punch. Not really. It's everybody thinks they can kill you if you have chickens. So let's just, even if that's not true, because they think they can, that doesn't matter. It causes you huge problems. So they see you running around with chickens, they will go for you. Thankfully, you'll have the boots to run away. But like, Chicken is risky, Shelly is risky, Goblin is risky, but if you can get a bunch of chests, you're fine. Max, you've got the speed to get there first, but if you do not play perfectly, you'll get low health really fast and have no way to recover it. And then, you know, a minute later, you'll be sitting there with Max at like 5% health and you're avoiding things you would have done because like you don't have the health. Talking from personal experience here. The Queen, very poppable, but like I said, getting that expo down is disgusting if you can. Witch, creating the skeletons is pretty good. On the very risky category. Greg, great if you can get some trees before they go after you, but very risky because if you don't, you get cooked. The Dynamite and the Colt, too low hit points. Very likely to get popped. When I say very likely to get popped, I mean like if they drop a lightning spell on you, you're dead. You will lose, right? They're just too low HP. Technically, I would say Bandit has the same problem as well, where like you get hit with a lightning spell and it's over, bro. It's over. It's GG's. I'll group these together because I think they have a similar problem. But the Royale King, the El Primo, the Battle Healer, I don't think I have enough DPS. Do I want an early Battle Healer? Hey, I am not opposed. Like I want to get that thing in my squad, but I'm very worried about that. Pam, I'm just not sure she's doing enough for you. The Wizards, very poppable, and you know, look, if you get the right spell, fine. Or you get hit with a spell and it's over before you know what the heck to do about it. And Penny is just, doesn't even have the upside of maybe giving you a spell, right? And she's, your map is probably going to be somewhere else too, all right? And do not go mid with a Bo, Dr. T, B, in my opinion. I know she's got like good DPS technically, but everybody thinks they can kill your squad. You have a B. In the start of the game, they see the B, they're like, oh, I'm going to cook you. And you know it. Like, wouldn't you cook someone who has a B sitting in the back? And by the way, it has no way to heal. Just like the same problem you've got with the Max, right? She has no way to heal. And so you're going to get to half health from some PvE thing hitting you a couple times. And then someone's going to see that and they're going to pop it. And then they're going to decide to kill the rest of your squad too. Okay, very risky. And so risky, do not go mid. IMO. Mavis, there's nothing to pull in the middle. Trader, there's really nothing you're getting from the middle. Medic, super, super squishy. Seems to, in my opinion, scale nicely with a larger squad. Not going to be so great at the start. And there you have it. Should you go middle or not? Consider your game mod, consider how tough your lobby is, and consider what your first draft pick is. If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, consider subscribing. If you're looking for the last vid I did, where I talked about my biggest learning from this $50,000 Samsung Galaxy tournament, check the card, I'll be right over here in just a second. Really powerful stuff, actually. One of my, I would argue, more important lessons, and every time I don't follow it, I end up getting punished. You might get away with it, but watch the video. You'll see what I mean.